Hello everyone. We'll start with chapter 1.6, Major Body Cavities. Two of the major body cavities is the ventral and dorsal cavity. Ventral is the front, dorsal is the back. You can also use the axial and appendicular portion. Axial meaning head, neck, and trunk. Appendicular meaning lower and upper limbs. The first cavity is the ventral cavity. This cavity contains the thoracic and the abdominal pelvic cavities. These cavities are separated by a large muscle known as the diaphragm. The thoracic cavity is part of your upper torso. This contains your heart, lungs, and along with other organs of the respiratory system, such as the trachea and esophagus. The abdominal pelvic cavity consists of the abdominal and the pelvic cavity. Also, the thoracic and abdominal pelvic is lined by a double-layered serous membrane that secretes serous fluid to prevent friction between the layers. The abdominal cavity is a large cavity located between the thoracic cavity and the pelvic cavity. The abdominal cavity organs include the organs of the digestive system, such as the stomach, liver, small and large intestines. This cavity also houses the gallbladder and the liver. The pelvic cavity is a cavity that is bonded by the bones of the pelvis. The large opening is the pelvis inlet, and the bottom is known as the pelvic floor. The pelvic cavity organs include the urinary bladder and rectum. In women, the pelvis cavity contains the vagina and uterus. In males, it is the pubic symphysis. Now we're moving to the dorsal cavity, which consists of the cranial cavity and the vertebral cavity. The cranial cavity has a space that is formed by 8 cranial bones that serve as a protective area to house the brain. Also, the cranial cavity has small cavities known as the oral, nasal, orbital, and middle ear cavities. The vertebral cavity is a cavity also known as the spinal cavity that contains the spinal cord and is made up of vertebrae and meninges. These are my sources. Thank you.